Joining me now is Democratic Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. This report is ugly. It's frankly just ugly. Nearly 400 officers on scene that day. I'm just struck by how did it all break down? How was there not somebody within that group who said, hold on, we got to get in there? They were trained. They should have known better.
Well, they all should have known better, Katie. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. You have Arredondo, who was part of writing this manual for the school that just let everything just kind of get out of control. He does acknowledge in his own testimony at some point to this committee that he felt that other folks should have taken over, that he wasn't the incident commander. I've been saying this all along. They're all at fault, that there is system failure from day one, human error, communications errors. How is it that no radio worked inside those schools? It is astounding to me the constant errors that evolved on May 24th. But I think it's a bigger story of neglect. And it's quite frankly a story how Greg Abbott has treated this community with this regard to Operation Lone Star. We heard from Steve McCraw that there was no training whatsoever from Operation Lone Star. We flood the area with 1,800 new cops, and we don't cross-train with these folks. We don't pay in to fix their radio systems. Those are the real issues that we need to be.
Will you back up a second and explain that to our audience?
Operation Lone Star is Greg Abbott's border security plan to secure our borders, if you will. Has not worked very well at all. But you would think that if we're going to flood these communities on the border with so many police, that they would cross-train on other issues like this very one. That never happened. I got that in cross-examination from Steve McCraw in his Senate testimony. We have a lot to unpack here, Katie, but you're absolutely right. It is time to look at accountability. The city's got to do their accountability, which means certainly getting rid of some folks at the police level. The school district absolutely has to do it, but we at the state level have to do it as well. I filed a lawsuit because they did not respond to my open records request. That report is a part of the picture, but we've got a lot more information that we need to glean. There is a state Texas Ranger walking around that scene. He's being followed by a state employee game warden. That's the guy with the pad. It's a schematic of the school. They're on the phone with somebody. They're on the phone for 20 minutes, it seems, just walking around. I want to know who they're talking to, who's calling the shots, who's telling them to go in or not go in or listen to Arredondo or whatever. Because when we get to that, when we get to those responses, that's where the accountability needs to lie.
So you're talking about accountability. You're talking about people losing their jobs. You heard that great-grandfather say that they should also lose their pensions, and those pensions should be given to the families of the victims. Nearly 400 officers is a lot of jobs to lose if you really want to go through all of them, and I'm not sure the state can handle that. But are there individuals that you think really do bear responsibility, maybe the leadership from each of these individual agencies who were on scene?
Absolutely, Katie. I mean, let's also be very clear. Steve McCraw direct reports to Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott has told us time and time again that he's livid, that he's upset, and that he just hasn't seen these videos. He's been in that office for 2 months. Are we to believe that he hasn't seen any of this stuff? That's just a bull-faced lie. The fact is, Steve McCraw works for him, and he can tell him to resign. He can ask him to divulge to the community what they've failed to divulge. They've hidden behind some nonsense criminal investigation that we know isn't going to happen. But absolutely, there needs to be direct accountability of people at a high level within every agency. And the federal government should have this discussion too. I know Bortec went in, but they also waited for 30 minutes while kids bled out.
Let me ask you about the governor a little bit more. He was in Uvalde in the day after the attack, patting people on the back. Hasn't been there since 3 days after the shooting. He didn't go to any of the funerals. Why do you think he's been absent?
You know, you'd have to ask him, but I'll tell you that the last day he showed up was actually the 5th day where the president showed up. On the 3rd day, he showed up to tell us what kind of state resources that the state had to offer. I think the mayor and the county judge know exactly what kind of state resources. What we needed is actually an execution, a proper execution of those state resources. We have families that have been given 2 weeks of lost wages by this district attorney, and that's just wrong. We have families that have not been adequately taken care of when it comes to victims assistance compensation funds and told the full measure of the statute. My office is trying to do the very best that we can with our limited resources and try to get them to argue to open up that statute. But we're having to fight with them on every issue right now. You would think that if you were the governor of Texas and this happened in one of your communities, that you would do everything in your power to make sure that those families had everything that they needed and that you would give them the answers that they wanted immediately. And that just doesn't happen in Texas. It didn't happen. It happened in Highland Park. It happened in Tulsa. It happened in Buffalo. We got briefings. We were told what went wrong, and we were just given the information.